Welcome to The Pulse, where we decode the news with facts, evidence, and receipts. Stay connected, stay informed. And now, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the latest news and decodes, investigative journalist and decoder, your host, FCB.
Hey going everybody, FCB here. Hope you're doing well, hope you're doing fantastic, and I hope you're all in amazing spirits. Welcome to The Pulse, here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. Today we've got a lot to cover. We'll take a close look at the facts, cut through the noise, and get into the details that matter. So let's dive into it. Oh yes, and another one bit the dust, didn't it? Oh yes, good old Janine Pirro. No coincidence, guys. I've been telling you about Janine. She's out. Okay, yes. Good old Janine. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Pulse here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. And like always, you know, I've been busy. You've been seeing, do you like my new set, guys? Do you like what I've been doing with the place? I've been setting up this studio, making it all professional-like and all that, and really getting into it. So there's a lot of things I want to reveal, ladies and gentlemen, is that number one, oh yes, it's back to the Freedom Channel broadcast. So you would have seen some brand changing and things like that going around the place, but it's been fine-tuned now. It's under the Freedom Channel broadcast, and we'll be doing shows, probably around 4 shows a week, ladies and gentlemen, 4 shows a week. Now, one of the shows that I'll be revealing to you tonight is called, and it's going to be a call-in show where you can call in to me and we can have a chat and talk about real solutions, right? So not the complaints department, no, not like the others that are doing that sort of business. No, we're about getting real results and real solutions, aren't we? So most truth channels, as you know, aren't empowering anyone. They're boring. They're complaint sessions on repeat. Open lines, open noise, open vent. Everyone nods, nothing changes. That's not power, that's noise. Knowledge, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, is power. Your questions, clear answers, no noise. If you're done with the hours of venting and zero value, because I know a lot of people out there complained about they go on other call shows and they just all they hear is complaints, no value. Then you come here and you're in the right place. You're ready for some real answers? Then you join me, FCB, on my new show, ladies and gentlemen, which is going to be presented, sometime this week. We're going to launch it, and it's going to be on a Friday, prime time. Every Friday, prime time. And it's going to be amazing because, it's a really good show, and it's named after what we know. 5 of 5 comms clear. Talk to FCB live on air, all right? And you can ask me anything. And what we're going to be doing is not focusing about the complaints. No. You're going to ask the real questions, and I'm going to give you real answers, real solutions, okay? Because that's what we want. We want value, right? We don't want to run a complaint, but it'll be under the 5 of 5 comms clear, since we know what that means. Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, people will be calling in. I want you to have your questions ready, and we're going to get straight down to it. That's what we're going to be doing with these shows. So with the 5 of 5 comms clear, and we're going to start on Friday, and it'll start around 7 p.m., something like that. It's going to be value for people that are fed up of going to other places and getting no answers. Just a bunch of complaints and hearing people's complaints. I mean, is that what you want to hear? Do you want to hear another talk show or another call show where people, all they do is complain and then you don't get an opportunity to ask your questions? No. I've seen too much of that. And frankly, a lot of people have been complaining about people that do these things. I am here to give you the real solutions, and there won't be any complaining. We're going to be empowering. We're not going to be doing that sort of stuff. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, so a lot's going on in this amazing world of ours, isn't there? So let's talk about Pirro. Now, you know, I've exposed Pirro many, many times, and I've said that she's part of that Fox News circle, just like Headseth, just like Dr. Oz, and just like many others. And I told you she's also part of that deep state circle. She's obviously a supporter of Mr. Bibi Netanyahu and Fox News, and Fox News is Murdoch. So we know that POTUS is basically exposing, shall we say, these entities, and he's using certain narratives. Now, how amazing is that? To be President Trump is a genius that he used the narrative of the pool. You know what I mean? The reflecting pool. That was amazing, wasn't it? So with the reflecting pool, you know, it was blamed that some Olympian did it, and that was the excuse. However, Pirro turned around and said, no, that's not the case. And then President Trump got upset with her, and basically she's now skating on thin ice. Now, remember, you need things to happen organically. Now, Pirro obviously knows that her days are numbered, and she rocked up to the White House with a series of boxes. You can see right there, she's there with boxes, and she's obviously gone there because they dropped the case against that Olympian. And what they're saying is that it's shoddy work on behalf of the contractor, that they did some really shocking work. And she's bringing all these boxes of evidence, and it's not looking good for Pirro. Let's just call it what it is. And President Donald Trump is lashed out on prosecutor Jeanine Pirro for dropping charges against the former Olympian accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool. Yeah, it's pretty much see you later for her. And like I said, President Trump has called it like folding like an umbrella. That's what he likened her to being. And what is like an umbrella, ladies and gentlemen? An umbrella goes left or right. It blows in any direction and it folds, right? Just like Pirro did. And just like President Trump has been saying about her. How about we roll the clip and let's have a listen to what President Trump has to say about Pirro.
I was disappointed with Jeanine
Let's see if we can get some audio. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. Really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella, and people get away with things, and it's a disgrace. It looked beautiful, and then they cut it, and they vandalized, and we weren't necessarily thrilled with the contractor, but they did a job, and they were fixing any problems, but then it got carried away because the judge was extremely unfriendly to Jeanine, and frankly, I think she choked because the judge was really vicious. Instead of going after the people that did it, the judge went after her and went after her department, and I guess she choked.
Very interesting term, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, I guess she choked. What did she choke like? Someone that got hanged, maybe? You know, he said it twice. That was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, choked. Just talking about choking. Let's talk about Fauci. Isn't that funny? Good old Fauci. Now, Rand Paul's going out there and he's saying, he's going to get contempt and so forth and so forth. What do you mean, Mr. Rand Paul? Mr. Rand Paul saying that he's going to get charges of contempt. Let's see what contempt is. Possible charges from contempt of Congress. If found in contempt, Dr. Fauci could face the following penalties. Realistically speaking, does anyone want to see him for a year in jail, $100,000 fine, referral to the Department of Justice, multiple counts, permanent criminal record? I mean, compared to what that genocidal maniac has done, and we know, look, at the end of the day, we know that Fauci is a puppet, right? So we know that he's a puppet. However, is this what we want? No, it isn't. After all, he got people to be double masked, triple masked, masked up the bum. Then you got civil contempt, which is indefinite jail time, no set fine amount, remains in custody, court enforcement, and ongoing pressure. Contempt of Congress is rare and serious, really, if requires willful refusal to comply with a lawful subpoena or order. The decision to pursue charges is up to Congress. Really, I'm not happy with that. Well, that's what they're saying. That's what Rand Paul's saying. Oh, we're going to get him on contempt. Really, how about you get him on genocide and then follow up the chain and see those that are responsible for perpetuating that suicide. Sorry, not suicide, genocide. Dr. Fauci's contempt vote Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Right, so Congress is going to get together and vote. And you saw what is the consequences? Well, 1 year in jail, $100,000 fine, referral to the Department of Justice. I mean, that's peanuts compared to what he's done and the others that are involved. Wouldn't you say? I mean, to me, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not going to accept that. And I don't think anyone should accept that either. It's just, he basically, what he did, he became a monster. And we know that Nancy Pelosi and others were involved, stroking his ego, including the Hollywood machine, and the mainstream media were involved, and they were stroking his ego, and he became this monster. And then he basically considered himself to be the savior of mankind in his own mind. Now, I would like to see some justice. Frankly, we've had none. We really have had zero justice. Now, I get it. It's got to awaken the mass consciousness. It's got to get them upset. I get it. But hold on a minute. How long can this continue on? We need to see transparency, yes. Justice, yes. Accountability, yes. And so far, we haven't got any. Nothing, these Epstein files, no justice. But apparently, ladies and gentlemen, there has been something. Something is in, shall we say, the pipelines or is brewing up there. What has just recently came out is about Comey. Oh, yes, Comey. Apparently, he's been busted doing, we know what he's done in the past. But now it's coming from dark to light. What is very interesting is that in Truth Social, there are certain things that can basically points to that direction to do with Comey over and over again. So what I'll do is I'll do some decoding. We'll jump into that, into the Truth Social, get into the decoding aspect of it. Because there is some very interesting things that I've found, some interesting patterns, if you will. So let me just bring that up. Where are we? Just give me a quick sec, guys. In the meantime, thumbs up, great comments. Let's share this all over the place. Let's get the message out there. of the new and improved Pulse. Okay, straight down to the brass tacks, so to speak. Rightio. Now, let's see, what do we have here? So with Mr. Comey, what was very interesting was these comms were coming through President Trump consistently, I mean, through these Truth Social posts, which I can't call it a coincidence because there's just too much of it. Now, let's see where I have it. Here it is. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? Here we go. So what you would have seen today is this. So FBI secretly opened probe alleging Trump fired Comey because he was a Russian asset. Declassified memo show. So this is out on whitehouse.gov. And these declassified memos have been released. Now, it's obviously about what Comey's involvement is. And what is interesting is there's a series of documents. So you got redacted. I like unredacted. I'm fed up of the black squares. And declassified by FBI. So you got that document. Then you got the Mueller report, the final report, the Durham report, the Comey Clinton case of the DOJ, right? So you got that as well. You got the Lisa Strzok case. Sorry, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. I think it is. Is it Lisa Page or Carter Page? George Papadopoulos, Flynn. Yeah, Peter Strzok was involved with Lisa Page. Yes, I'm sure of it. Then you've got the FBI agent Barnett interview, no collusion. You got the Brennan notes, CIA brief to Obama. More declassified Durham annex released by Chairman Grassley. So in the Q drops it says trust Grassley. Then you got the Steele dossier spreadsheet. Attorney General letter to Chairman Graham, right? Obviously Lindsay. Danchenko interview and Flynn FBI notes PDF as well. So there's quite a few documents. Now, what is very interesting is these are declass, right? So declass documentation. Now, what I want to show you is these comms are coming through in President Trump's, shall we say, his Truth Social posts. And not just once, it's a consistent pattern. So let me show you what I've got here for you. President Trump is fixing our wonderful White House just like he's fixing our country. It's in his DNA. What is in his DNA? That's what I would like to know, and I'm sure everyone else here would like to know what is in his DNA. Well, let's have a look. The answer is right here, right? As you can see here. So timestamp 2:27 p.m. Now, when we go to timestamp 2:27 p.m., but then also there's another thing. So just keep that in mind. 2:27 p.m., one post. This is what I'm going to show you, that there are no coincidences. They don't exist. Because they don't, ladies and gentlemen. They just don't exist. We don't believe in them. Now, if we go to, let me just see, I'll get that up in a moment. So we'll go to 2:27 p.m. and it will give us the answer as to what President Trump's referring to. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you just can't call it a coincidence. They just don't exist. Now, here we go. So, like I said, in his DNA, what is it? What is in his DNA? Well, we go to timestamp 227 and it tells us, ladies and gentlemen, the warrior. So Q drop 3328, timestamp 2:27 p.m. The warrior, he's in his DNA, he's got the warrior, the protector. What is very interesting is what's below. So we'll just read this part. So already he's established what is in his DNA. He's the warrior. He's the protector. He is the commander-in-chief. So he controls the military, right? A warrior is the protector of his family and those in need. A warrior is the guardian of the ways of honor and courage. A warrior will not put his own desire above what is right. Above all, a warrior is always motivated, and you see that he's always motivated by his utmost duty. Oh yes, his utmost duty as the commander-in-chief. What is very interesting is this word right here, ladies, or this phrase, D-class is coming. And this is where I'm saying mirrors are important. D-class is coming. Well, I just showed you that when we said D-class is coming, what D-class is coming? Comey. So there we go. We've got a mirror, declassified memos, right? Comey. And we've got that particular post, so that Q drop, that equates to that timestamp that tells us what is in his DNA. And then D-class, but then let's have a look further down, ladies and gentlemen. D-class, pre or post IG report. There we go. Right there. Mirrors are important. Number one, we got the answer. The DNA, what is in his DNA? The warrior, the protector, right? He knows his duty as the commander-in-chief. Number two, D-class is coming, mirrored in that very post that President Trump put up in whitehouse.gov. Number two. Number three, ladies and gentlemen, Comey, pre or post IG report, C comes before D, Comey. So there you go. You got that already. How many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible? You just can't call it. So already you got all these different points that I just made just from that one post that President Trump did that equated to that timestamp that brought us that information. So already we've got that going on. Right? So you see where I'm going with this. Now, let's get to the next step. It continues on, don't you worry. It goes on and on. What's going to be very interesting is this. Because 854, great honor to meet with President Zelensky of the Ukraine. Now, what was President Trump, what was this thing about with Comey that was mentioned? Wasn't it to do with what? Russia. There we go, Russian asset. So therefore, who at the moment is fighting with Russia? The Ukraine. Well, it was a great honor to meet with President Zelensky of Ukraine. Many things were discussed. The meeting went very well, President Donald J. Trump. Now, if we go to the bottom, this is at 8:54 p.m. 8 plus 5 plus 4 equals 17, which equals Q. So we've got a Q right there. However, let's see what the comms also say. So number one, we know this is linked to Comey. You're going to see where. We go to 854 timestamp, all right, and I'm going to show you something. 854 timestamp. So you got 8:54 p.m. Get ready for it. When did that post come out about Zelensky with President Trump? On the 28th of July, 2026. Well, we go to the one where it's got the timestamp of 8:54 p.m. It's the 27th of July that post was done. So, in other words, it was done on a 7-year delta on July the 27th, right? So, on a 7-year delta, 7 years, and then the day after that, July the 28th, that's when that post was up on Truth Social. Now, Q dropped 35.25. What does this mean? The corn, right? The corn. We all know what the corn means. We know that it means popcorn, but also people got to get, what is popcorn associated to? Corny, Comey, right? That looks like Comey over there in the cornfield, doesn't it? Yes. This is what I'm saying. There are no coincidences. Was the corn ripe for harvesting? It is now. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. Comey, twitter.com/Comey status. Was the corn ripe for harvesting? It is right now. You see, ladies and gentlemen, that the comms are crystal clear. You just can't call it a coincidence, can you? But there's more, as always, here on the Freedom Channel broadcast. You know you're going to get more, don't you? Because what is very interesting as well, get ready for this one. You know, it's all pointing towards Comey again. So we've got the corn is ripe, right? Corn makes popcorn, right? Corny, Comey. Corn ripe for harvesting. But we all know also, if we go to that whitehouse.gov D-class document, who is also mentioned here, ladies and gentlemen, in the report. If we go to the report, it also mentions, we've got the Russia business, but it's also got, it's mentioned, let me just see if I can find it. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Chairman Grassley, right there in that report. Can you see it? Chairman Grassley in that report mentioning about the Steele dossier, the connections to Comey, Corny. Who is the one that does the corn report? Grassley does. Trust Grassley. Look at that. It's right there. D-class. And then there's more. Only Trump. Only Trump. Let's go to the bottom. To the bottom it says there, oh, isn't that amazing, isn't it? It's really great stuff, isn't it? It's really exciting stuff. I'm really happy. Yes, that equals 19. So you got 1 plus 8, 9 plus 7, 19, Trump. How interesting is that? And then you got him there. So we've got a mirror 5 of 5, comms are clear. But then let's go to there, 228. So we go to 228 timestamp, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for it. Here we go. 228 timestamp right there. Oh, December the 17th. 17 equals Q. Ha ha. Right? Very funny. Now, there we go. So look at this. 228 timestamp. Only Trump. But look at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for it. Get ready. Look at that. Look at that. The popcorn's there. The corn, Comey. There we go. The popcorn. President Trump. Look at this. Oh, yes. Corny Comey. 480 times. Comey 0 times. 5 of 5. Comms are clear. How was that, guys? One after another, after another, after another, after another. This is what I'm saying. How many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible. You see what I mean? And this is what I'm saying. This is what it means to be able to connect the dots and to be able to see that you're getting a consistent pattern. And when you get this kind of pattern over and over and over and over again, yes, Burns, the comms are crystal clear, aren't they? Well done, Mad Paul. You guys are awesome. Yes, isn't that great? So, how was that for a decode? And the new pulse too. Pretty good, huh? Now, we're just getting warmed up. So, how's that, guys? I mean, we can see that this drip business is happening. So, you've got this D class that has been basically through the post, you've seen how the comms have come out, how I've translated those comms, how one after another, that you can't call it a coincidence because, as Q says, how many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible? And that's how the drops are done by design. That way, so you can, it's not just like a one thing. One thing can be called a coincidence, but then when you're showing a consistent pattern and these posts that match up with the comms, you can't call it a coincidence. They just don't, logically speaking, they don't exist. Right? So I know people are frustrated and saying, are things happening? Well, they are. Look right there. This is happening. Now, there's obviously a lot of information in those documents, and I'll be doing a decode on that on another show because there's a lot of content. Now, it doesn't require investigation. So you got the Durham report, Mueller report. We all know what's really going on. And also what's being mentioned in this report, I just had a quick look at it, was about General Flynn. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, General Flynn. On the General Flynn file, it actually shows the FBI's, they do a report. And in that report that they've kept classified, it's exposing that they were trying to get General Flynn and use various means to try and get him to lie. And that's all in the document. So, for example, this one here, let me see if I can bring this one here, Flynn FBI notes. How about we bring that one up, have a quick look at it, and then I'll do a full-on investigation into it. But just to give you a bit of a flavour, guys, as to what you can expect is coming your way. And this is what I'm saying, future proves past. Everything that's been in the drops, guys, everything that's been in the drops is coming out there now. Now, I know this isn't big stuff because we want bigger things, but you got to start somewhere and heads have got to start rolling from some direction. And that's what I'm saying. We need some, we need some accountability and justice. We truly need it. And frankly, we haven't had our 20% as yet. And that's what we're waiting for, is our 20%, aren't we? Now, let's see. I've got this General Flynn document, which will be here somewhere. Here it is, Flynn notes. All righty. Here we go, guys. So this is the notes that was withheld from the FBI. Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it needs a lot more investigation. Now, it goes through quite a few things, but what I want to show you is get straight down to the brass tacks, no mucking around. Because this is what I'm interested in, is this handwriting right here. Now, in this section, it says here, now this is afterwards, the interview. I agreed yesterday that we shouldn't show Flynn if he didn't. It says there we shouldn't. Let me see if I can get that wording right, guys, because it is. I agreed yesterday that we shouldn't. Could be show Flynn, and it's redacted, if he didn't admit, right? I thought it last night. I believe we should have rethink this. What's your goal? Truth or admission? Maybe that's better. Truth or admission? Right? Or to get him to lie. There you go. What they were trying to do, what is your goal? They're asking themselves, truth or admission? In other words, do you want him to say the truth or you want to get him to lie? It's right there in black and white, ladies and gentlemen, right here. So we can prosecute him or get him fired. Look, we regularly show subjects evidence with the goal of getting them to admit their wrongdoing. I don't see how getting someone to admit their wrongdoing is going to be easy on them, easy on him. If we get him to admit to breaking the Logan Act and give, I don't know what that says, to the DOJ and have them decide if he initially lies, then we present him, it's redacted, he admitted it, document for DOJ, let them decide. So in other words, the FBI are saying, what's our goal here? To get him to say the truth or to get him to admit? And it says there, let them decide. So let them decide. The FBI said, like washing my hands clean, let them, it's up to them. And we know what it was done for. Done in 30 months. General Flynn, his role was to show, and this is all done by design as per the Q drops, to show the level of corruption within the Department of Justice. And he exposed all that. That was done by design. And I've done a whole decode on that in the past. So if we're seen as playing games, this is what they're saying. The White House will be furious. Protect our institution, what the FBI, by not playing games. Very interesting, isn't it? So, in other words, we go here to the top and it says, what is our goal? Shouldn't the goal be always to get him to say the truth? And then got a / admission or to get him to lie, just so they can prosecute him or get him fired? So this is exposing, number one, the practices of the FBI, the corrupt practices, and who was involved. Number two, the DOJ. That's why General Flynn, done in 30 months. Right? And he was done by design to expose the level of corruption to do with the Department of Justice and the FBI. We have a case. Flynn and Russians. Our goal is to resolve case. Our goal is to determine Mike Flynn is going to tell the truth and his relationship with the Russians. You see what I mean? Very interesting, isn't it? And this is what I'm saying. This is all coming out now by design. By design. Because when we go to the Q drops, it also tells us a thing. We know that this is happening now, and here's the proof. It's happening under Trump admin version 2. Because when we go to the Q drops, it clearly says it there. Let's go to the Q drops, and I will show you what it says about General Flynn and Trump admin 2, because we are in version 2, right? Publicly. Let's just putting out there for the record. Okay, let's just see. I'm going to find it in the Q drops, guys. Okay, I'll find it, guys. Just give me a sec. It does say, and it talks about Flynn and Trump version, Trump admin version 2. I think it is Trump admin version 2. It does say in the drops. Isn't it? There we go. Look at this. Q drop 4213. There we go. D class. Right there. Look at that. Pfizer. We know what that's got to do with Flynn as well. D class. Get ready. Let me just bring that up. Where are we? It'll be here, guys. Where it talks about, I think it's just under Trump admin version 2. Yep, it'll be under here somewhere. And like I said, done in 30. There it is again. Done in 30. Why would Flynn plead guilty to something that is untrue? Define testimony. Define on record. It has to be on record in order for them to be exposed. And it's on record. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. Expanding your thinking. So in other words, it also says that he took a rubber bullet. In other words, a fake bullet. Right? Done in 30 months exactly. There you go. And where is it? I'll find it somewhere. It'll be here somewhere, guys. Flynn is safe. Yes, we know that. Okay. Flynn's background, we know that it's intelligence, military intelligence. I think it's under Trump admin. Let me just... There we go. Trump admin version 2. Who knows where the bodies are buried? All right. It'll be here. So, here it is. Q drop 953. Let's go to Q drop 953. Here we go. So, we know that the FBI past has been corrupt. DOJ, the same. Now, when we scroll down, Flynn targeted. Why? Who knows where the bodies are buried? In other words, he knows who's done what. Clear of all charges. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. In Trump admin version 2. And where are we now? Trump version, admin version 2. And you're seeing this D class that is coming out. And obviously, these things are starting to come out. And President Trump speaking about the election theft. There we go. Public awakening. So you could see that this is the direction where we're heading. More D class, more exposure. Now, for the mass consciousness, is Flynn big enough? Think about it. Is Flynn big enough for the world? No. But what does this all come down to? It's got to come down to election interference. That's what it's got to come down to, because Remember, Steele dossier, Pfizer, it was to basically impede in the election when President Trump was running in 2016, all that sort of thing. It was all about that. Future will prove past. And think about this. When you start to create a solid foundation of facts, evidence, and receipts, like he is right now, that they've done all this, shall we say, the Pfizer illegal warrants, the Russia collusion, all these sort of, when it all comes out and shows that it's got to do with election interference, it's going to set a precedent, isn't it? It's going to set a precedent for 2020, also 2018 as well. Because it must be done by the rule of law, as Q says, right? And in a court of law as well. So if we go to Q drop 3725, which equals 17, this one here, it must be done right. It must be done according to the rule of law. It must carry weight. In other words, you've got to have the solid facts. It must be proven in the court of law. What did Flynn do? Done in 30. There can be no mistakes. Good things sometimes take time. Yes. Attempt to slow block the inevitable. Justice will fail. Now have a look at this. Democrats election interference 2016. Well, it's right there. And you're seeing that this is all coming out because it's pointing in that direction. This is going to set precedent. So in other words, it's going to expose them. Remember, they are low-hanging fruit because the big player who controls them is Soros. All right? Then this is going to, once you open this can of worms, this opens up, which has got to do with the Mueller, remember Mueller reports, all that, it's all there as well. And then, ladies and gentlemen, this here, the election interference in 2020. You see what I mean? So this has all been done by design. This is, you could see that you can't call it a coincidence. Future proves past. D-class is coming. And then you think about this. What is this going to do to the people? Well, people don't like their elections being interfered with. That's the reality. When you have an election, it's got to be fair and proper. When this is exposed, it's going to expose not only, like I said, 2020, it's going to go 2016, 2018, and 2020. It's going to set a precedent. And that's exactly what's going on. Oh, isn't that lovely? D-class is coming. Well, you could see it's already here. And the documents are out. It's going to be very, very, shall we say, interesting times moving forward, isn't it? It really is. And you could see that it all, with the comms that I just showed you, before with it's in his DNA, the warrior, the only way is the military, isn't it? So if we go back to this, President Trump is fixing our country. It's in his DNA. We go to the timestamp 227. What's in his DNA? The warrior. He's got his utmost duty, commander-in-chief, military. The only way is going to be the military. Because the military are the protectors of the Constitution. Now, what is also interesting is that President Trump brought out a post on Truth Social that shows Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. And when I saw it, I thought to myself, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about here, President Trump. I know exactly what you're getting at, because it's got to do with this, hasn't it? Right there. Do you see it, ladies and gentlemen? Right in front of your face. The Second Amendment. What does it say there? A well-regulated militia, meaning you, being necessary to the security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Could it be that things are heading in that direction? Elizabeth Warren logic applies to gun control laws. Now, another thing is, this gun business has been going ballistic out there. There's a funny word there. Did you see that In-N-Out guy? Go to that In-N-Out burger place. Didn't you find it weird that there's been an increase in shooters? It just seems to me when things go wrong, that all of a sudden we've got false flags all over the place. Haven't you seen that? And Q has told us that when things start to go wrong for, shall we say, the deep state, that certain things happen. Yes, let me tell you about that. I've got a joke about that, guys. He went in with a gun and went out in the body bag. Ha ha. There you go. So, but another thing is, I mean, he ended up pulling the rifle on himself as well. I mean, what was that all about? He went in there, went and shot the Tesla up. Did you see that? That was funny. It was like, no, I hate Elon. Great, go and shoot the Tesla. Don't shoot anybody else. Okay? Now, apparently went and shot the Tesla. I would, obviously, it's a piece of shit anyway. But anyway, let's watch this clip. I don't think Teslas are doing too well. I don't think they like Teslas at all. And he shot the Tesla up. Look at that. Let's go and shoot the Tesla. Very interesting. But anyway, the guy's name, sorry guys, I think he got pissed. Is his name No, this is the other guy. Sorry, I'm mixing it up. The other guy that went to President Trump's apparently. Did you hear about that one? Before we'll get into this story here, but sorry to jump around the place, but do you see what I mean? We've got a gunman there, in and out. He was in with a gun and out in the body bag. Then you got this one right here. The 17-year-old pulls a handgun and shoots a 13-year-old in a crowded mall. I mean, can people carry in the mall, guys? I mean, can you answer in the chat? Can you put it in there? Are you allowed to carry in the mall? Anyway, let's watch this clip. Right. 17-year-old. 17 is funny, isn't it? Then you got the In-N-Out man in Idaho. When there apparently 3 people were killed or 2 people were killed, they can't even make up their minds. The story says 3 in the Washington Post. New York Post brought out one and says there was 2. What did they resurrect themselves? Anyway, let's watch this clip.
We're learning more about the armed Good Samaritan who helped end the deadly mass shooting at an Idaho In-N-Out. Jordan Salinas says that when he saw a gunman calmly aiming an AR-style rifle at cars outside of the fast food restaurant, he decided he had to act. Armed with a semi-automatic pistol, Salinas fired back at the shooter, the first time he had ever pointed a gun at another person. He told ABC News that the gunman's confidence vanished the moment someone started shooting back.
Your confidence, and you would say, oh shit, I'm in the shit now. Of course his confidence would vanish.
He seemed unusually comfortable aiming that rifle at those cars, and then as
Okay. He was very comfortable at aiming that rifle at the Tesla.
soon as some rounds started coming at him, everything changed. Immediately, all that bravado he had immediately crumbled.
Police
Right, his bravado went away, and then he ended up turning the gun on him.
say Salinas and an off-duty officer forced the gunman to flee the restaurant. The suspect later died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yes, like I said, in with the gun, out in the body bag. Don't you find it weird these things are happening and it's just one after another, after another, after another? And another thing was President Trump's, that's right, his golf course. I think it was in California. What was very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, was this thing with the name. Do you know the name? When I saw the name of the gunman, I thought to myself, maybe he got upset because someone misgendered him. And then he decided to bring out the gun, whatever it was. Because apparently his name, when I saw it, it was like, okay, is that a man's name? No. If you look at the name, it's called Janine, and it's a guy. Janine apparently decided to take the gun over where Trump, and this is the thing, at the Trump golf course, not in, not like in and out. No, it was at this, at the golf course, and his name happened to be Janine. I mean, what's the deal with that? I mean, I look. Does anyone know somebody that's male that's called Janine? And if you see this guy, I'm trying to find the article, guys. But if you see the guy, he looks like a burly, and he's actually like a soldier of some sort. I'm just finding a lot of weirdness going on in this bizarro world, so to speak. And, I just can't, obviously make heads or tails as to why you would call yourself Janine. Still trying to get over that one. Let's go and look at this article here. It's a Trump golf course gunman. Yeah, that brings it up. There we go. Is this guy here? Is that him? Okay, here we go. His name happens to be Janine John TL. Yeah, that's right there. Look, I'm not kidding you. Like I had to look twice. Janine John TL with possession of an unregistered short-barreled rifle, which is a felony that carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. Meet Janine, guys. Maybe, like I said, he got misgendered and got upset about it. That's his, what is it there? What kind of rifle is that? Is that an AK something or other? Anyone know what that is? I'm just trying to see if there's any comms here or anything to it, but to me, it just seems like madness at this point. And he happened to be at President Trump's, there we go. According to federal complaint, TL was arrested Sunday after he was spotted snapping photos. He was sitting there snapping photos and shooting video. All right, on Sunday, of safety protocols being put in place ahead of President Trump's visit to his LA-based golf club. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, the heavily armed gunman who popped up at the Trump National Golf Course in California has been federally charged and now faces 10 years in the big house if convicted. Very interesting, isn't it? I'm just trying to make some heads or tails of this. I mean, obviously, look, it's all fresh. We're still waiting for information to come in. But I'm just seeing a constant pattern of this sort of business going on. And frankly, it's like, is there anything to this? Yeah, I think it's an AR and AK. Let's see what it is. We'll see if we can get more information on this thing. What gun was it? Let's see, what gun was it? Okay, it was a modified AR 15, I think it is, guys. Armed man arrested. There we go. Janine. Yeah, so if someone says, call me Janine, you better call him Janine. Otherwise, yeah, you'll be in big trouble. It was a short barrel, unregistered short barrel, about 15 miles. So when the police confronted the man, they discovered that he was being sought in connection with a robbery about 15 miles from North Rancho Palos Verdes, a wealthy coastal enclave known for its cliffs and scenic. Okay, blah, blah. He was carrying a 16-round magazine containing hollow point ammunition in his vehicle, which was parked at the golf course. It was parked at the golf course. They found a loaded pistol along with loaded magazines containing hollow point ammunition. There we go. Inside his home, they found so it was at his home, a legally modified AR platform rifle 45 pistol. 45 Trump. There you go. Very funny. There we go. So, there's not much else to it, is it, at this point? Really, there's no point in doing any deep dives into that business. However, what is very interesting is President Trump has been, shall we say, he's got to play the game. He's got to play the guise of, shall we say, being for Team Israel, Team Bibi, Team AIPAC, but it's actually the opposite. Because, yes, in Truth Social, he did say something along the lines of, great news to the Republican Party, Al-Sayed, a communist loser who hates Jews and Israel. Now, we know that the difference between Jewish people and Zionism, Jewish is a religion and Zionism is an ideology, and Zionism is Israel. But they obviously bring that in to be able to push their narratives. Now, is the projected winner in his race with the socialists. Now, I've been through it. I've been through the whole structure of how these politics, left, right, work, and it's all controlled by the same beast in the middle, Zionism, okay? Because that's what socialists are on the left, and on the right, you got the far right, the Nazis, and so forth and so forth. It's all an illusion. It's all controlled by Zionism. As usual, the polls were way off on this one. She was not expected to do nearly as well as she did. Now, who is President Trump referring to? Good old Stevens. Yes, Haley Stevens, ladies and gentlemen. How much did AIPAC invest in Haley for her to win Michigan? It's a lose, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lose, and it's a lose for the deep state. It really, really is. Haley Stevens was greased off to win. Look how much AIPAC invested, guys. It's absolutely off the charts. It's so ridiculous. How much money do you think they invested in Haley Stevens to win this race against Abdul? How much do you think, guys? And I'm talking about a lot of money here. I'm not talking about small enchiladas. No. I'm talking about Big Bickies biscuits, as we say here in Australia. I'm talking about 35 big ones. You heard correctly, 35 big ones. And I mean big ones, I mean millions, not thousands, guys. Think about that. They spent on Hailey 35, close to 36 million so she can get that seat. See you later. And this is what I'm saying, look, great news. He's being sarcastic, you realise that. As usual, the polls were way off on this one. She was not expected to do as well as she did. So he's kicking her while she's down as well. Now, the Democrats' crazy policies will only get worse. So, you think about it. Mr. Abdul al-Sayed is running up against a Republican that apparently has spent most of his time over in Florida. Did you hear about that one? I think his name is Mike Rogers. Now, Haley Stevens, President Trump obviously didn't have a vote of confidence for her. Do you see what I mean? So this has all been done by design. This is the huge takedown of AIPAC's control over Congress, right? Over these people. And President Trump is saying great news. Now, he's got to be sarcastic, obviously. He's got to play the game, obviously. And remember, Fox News and Newsmax were batting for her. And no, it didn't turn out well for them. Now, do you see? I know Haley Stevens is the left. So she's on the left too. So she's a Democrat. And so is Abdul. But the difference between Abdul and her is Abdul's not taking any checks or money from AIPAC of the tunes of millions and millions of dollars. It's not even taking 1 cent. Now, people are saying, oh, we don't want a communist, a socialist, whatever you want to call them. They're even pulling out the Islam Muslim card and all that. I've seen it. It's just off the charts, right? To be quite honest. Now, have a look at Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens was not for America. She was being paid $35 million by AIPAC that has got influence over Congress people for Israel. Now, obviously, the spin machine is going to spin all the stuff. Fox News is going to spin. New York Post is going to spin. Times of Israel as well. Obviously, they're going to spin. There is a divide among Michigan Jews. So there we go, the Jewish card again. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are fed up of being sucked into that Zionist vortex, of being called that. This is what our real Jewish and brothers and sisters think about that. Died to the IDF. Did you see that, guys? That's exactly what they think. This is our real Jewish brothers and sisters. That's exactly what they think of Zionism and Israel. But this is what I'm saying. Do you see how Israel work? They use the religion to whitewash everything. So there's a divide among Michigan Jews. So they use that word because they use the religious card so they can get away with things. In a primary where Israel has emerged as one of the sharpest contrasts between the candidates, Haley Stevens has served in the House since 2019 as a reliable supporter to who? What, to AIPAC? To Israel? Yes. It says it right there. Look, it's in black and white there, guys. As a reliable supporter of Israel. They're telling us in front of our faces, it's right there. As a reliable supporter to Israel. While Abdul El Sayed, a former county health official, has made opposition to the US support for Israel. What, so he's against the Zionist regime? And that's clear right there, obviously, because he's not being greased off by AIPAC. And she was. But they're telling you in front of your face right there. They're not hiding it. It's right there, guys. Now, again, they're going to use the far left, the left. What are they going to keep? How far left can you keep going? Seriously, you got her, that's a Democrat, Haley Stevens. And then you got the far left as well. So we've got left, far left. Have we got a further left anywhere? This is getting ridiculous, but this is how the spin machine works. Michigan is still counting. Oh, really? Far left candidate Abdul El Sayed holds a razor-thin, no, that's not what I saw, thin lead over Representative Haley Stevens. I mean, President Trump called it. Oh, sorry, Haley, you weren't doing too well. We'll see you later in the midterms with our Mike Rogers, whatever his name is. U.S. Senator seat, a race many expected progressives, far left, radical left. Do you see how it all is? It's these terms that they use. Then you got far right, Nazis. Do you see what I mean? This is the lies, the deception that they use. And it all links to Zionism. They all serve the same beast. Left and right all serve the same beast in the middle. That's the reality. Now, he's saying here, so El Sayed is saying that he loves Jewish people. And he's well within his rights to say it because our Jewish brothers and sisters, you're seeing what they think about Zionism. I love Judaism, religion. And I love the Jewish people. Michigan Democrat Senator primary winner Abdul El Sayed said, AIPAC and Israel are not the same as Judaism and the Jewish people. I call bullshit. I agree.
AIPAC and Israel are not the same as Judaism and the Jewish people. I love Judaism and I love the Jewish people. I venerate Judaism and I venerate the Jewish people. I stand with Judaism and I stand with the Jewish people. And the single most dangerous thing that they've tried to tell us is that somehow they can extend the definition of anti-Semitism to include a foreign government and its leaders. I call bullshit. No. If you believe that anti-Semitism extends to include a foreign government and AIPAC, you are creating a dangerous circumstance. So it is important for us to recognize that we love Judaism and the Jewish people because we love people. And we love Palestinians and their rights because we love people. And we love that our tax dollars get spent here, on schools here, and healthcare here.
Is he saying anything that's out of line? That he's standing up for the Jewish people? And he's saying that he cares about the people here and he wants to see people prosper here? Isn't that what, you know, and this is the thing, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, politicians will say what they want to say to get in. You know that's how they work. Just to get in, they'll say whatever they want. something happens when they get into politics, people change too. I'm just, like I said, he's actually exposing AIPAC again. So he's exposing AIPAC, Israel, and he's creating the differences. He's showing you the difference. And it's all about exposure, guys. It's all about exposure. He's showing you the difference between Judaism and Zionism. And that line is being more defined. You can see it as we progress. Now, obviously, Fox News and Newsmax, because they're controlled by the Zionist propaganda machine, are going to spin stories like Fox News tells viewers to remember 9/11. Do you see what that means? What they're trying to do? The mainstream media are constantly trying to interfere, manipulate people into using the fear tactics. So they're using fear as a manipulative tool. And you've seen how they do this. You've seen this many, many times, even during COVID, how they used fear. Well, right here, ladies and gentlemen, Fox News tells viewers to remember 9/11. So basically, they associate that with what? Fear again, terror. Terror, Islam, that sort of thing. Socialism, there we go. As socialist Al Sayed wins Michigan Democrat Senate primary. So you can see what they're doing is they're using trigger words like 9/11 to tell their viewers so they can spark that memory off in their head. That's how they manipulate people, guys. They use fear. Let's have a listen.
This socialist movement, it's no longer relegated to deep blue parts of New York City or mayoral races in New York City or Washington, D.C., but it's everywhere. It's in the heartbeat of America. And no matter how this cookie crumbles, El Sayed and his supporters are going to have momentum to take, whether they're the nominee or not, into November and beyond. And that's going to influence how this entire midterm election is shaped because
he doesn't jump to the beat of AIPAC or Zionist Israel. That's why. Anyway, let's have a listen to what he says here about the one that's going to run against him in the midterms.
See, Mike's a guy who spent 14 years in Congress with one goal, to figure out how to cash out the day he left. And guess what he did? As soon as he left Congress, after having taken corporate check after corporate check after corporate check to empower the corporations to pick your pockets, he went and he cashed out. Not in Michigan. No, winters are too cold for him. He's got thin skin after all. He went to Florida. So, Mike, if you want to be a Florida man, go be a Florida man. If you want to golf in Florida, go golf in Florida. But I promise you in November, we are going to send you back to Florida. Mike Rogers is a guy whose politics and vision and perspective are old. Mike Rogers is a guy who has never shied away vision and from a corporation he could do a favor for. Mike Rogers is a guy who, believe it or not, went back to Florida so he could lick every single boot Donald Trump owns to beg for his endorsement. I'm so sorry. If you want a senator who's going to lick some boots, fine, go vote for Mike Rogers. But if you want a senator who's going to stand up to Donald Trump, then you've got your option right here.
Right, okay. Obviously, you got to remember, they've got to play the game. The thing is, AIPAC are now putting money behind Mr. Rogers. There we go. So Mike Rogers is on $1 million. As it goes closer and closer, you're going to see this, as it gets closer and closer to the midterms, his funds are going to increase. His funds are going to increase. Very interesting, isn't it? Mr. Mike Rogers. And this is the thing, guys. I mean, this is all exposure. That's what it's all about. So let me just see if that was the correct Mike Rogers before we lock that one in. So Mike Rogers running in Michigan. Is it the correct one? It is. I think it is. He's just make sure it looks exactly like him. Okay. So he converted to represent Michigan. Very interesting, isn't it? GOP convert. Let's make sure. Yeah, it is him. That is him. Look at it. There he is. Right there. Republican Senator candidate Mike Rogers speaks before President Trump General Motors. So he converted. Mike Rogers is a former congressman who pushed false claims of stealing 2024 elections in Michigan and praised Trump in recent prime time tirades against the election. Okay. Very interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting times. So obviously there's a lot of exposure going on, all done by design, and it's exposing this whole system of corruption. Because it has to be exposed, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be exposed with how they operate, how elections are interfered with, and then also you're seeing how the spin from the mainstream media. Now, have a look at this. So, New York Post, socialist influencers, foul-mouthed meltdown over tight Michigan Senate primary, Islamophobic pieces of whatever it says there. So they're using the New York Post, Fox News, Newsmax, all them. Here we go. There's Newsmax. I forgot about them. You ever looked around? So there we go. Mr. Finity. You ever look around and ask yourself, like, what is happening to this country or in this country? Look at the newest symbol of what the left, right, far right, fear. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, not a lot of American flags out there at that event. Looks like a great event, by the way. I love all the colors, right? Such colorful outfits. They're not all wearing the same stupid thing, all black, like covered head to toe in the middle of summer. Great job, guys.
Yeah, so already he's gone out there and set the tone, hasn't he? You can see that he's obviously, we know Newsmax, Chris Ruddy, Team Bibi Netanyahu, Israel, all the way, Zionist. Obviously, Mr. Finity is going to point this card as well, push this little card here. Now, what the mainstream media are about doing is creating division, making sure that we hate each other, left and right. As long as the Zionists get their way, that's all that matters. But this is what I'm saying. It's all to do with exposure. And it's all necessary because how else are you going to obviously awaken the mass consciousness? You need to bring in narratives. These narratives are being exposed, right? And it's all done deliberately by design. Now, how about we continue on with some decoding? What was very interesting was this. President Trump brought out this post, and this is where it's important to realize how we work with mirrors. President Trump ages in reverse. Now, if you look at him, right, okay, we go down the bottom. and we go to the timestamp, and it's 2:19. In other words, 2:19s. It's a mirror. All right? So 2:19s equates to a mirror. So therefore, we're looking for an identical timestamp with and you're going to see how there are no coincidences, they don't exist. So in other words, you're saying President Trump ages in reverse. Well, that's one part of the picture, and you need to match it up with the other side. Well, I found it. The same guy, even with more energy. So he's aging in reverse. Look at that, guys. So you got the 2:19s. There's 19 there. So we've got 19 equals Trump there, and 19 equals Trump. So that constitutes for a mirror. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, he's aging in reverse. Look. Same guy, even more energy. So we go back to that first one. President Trump has made that statement on Truth Social that he's aging in reverse. This is how comms work, guys. Do you see how you need to put like Q says, the crumbs make bread? Well, it's the same principle here as well. President Trump ages in reverse. You got the 2:19s there. We need the identical mirror time-stamped, 2:19. Another 19, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. 1 plus, I think August is, that's it, yeah. 1 plus 8, 9, plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, 19 again. So already we've got the timestamp at 2:19s. Then we've got add that up, and we've got a mirror. We've got a 5 of 5, comms clear right there. Right, so we've got 19 there, 2:19s, mirror there, right? Age in reverse, and we go to the next slide, and you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that he is aging in reverse. He's looking in that direction. Look, he's looking at the direction of his age being in reverse, and then you got this again. 5 of 5 comms are clear. A 1 of August 2026, 1 plus 8, 9, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, 19 again, 2:19s. 5 of 5 comms are clear. Mirrors are important. How many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible? How was that, eh? That was good, wasn't it? Nice little short decode there. Are you enjoying these decodes? How about if you're getting value out of this show, we'd appreciate that you show your appreciation and give us a thumbs up. Great comments. Share this all around the place. We've got to do this organically, guys. Okay, and let's help the algorithm get the message out there. Now, President Trump also just recently brought out another post, which is to do with the alien again. Now, let's go through these facts. Number one, you would have seen this. He brought this out again not long ago. There we go, 19. Isn't that funny? 19. 1 plus 8, 19 there. We've got 19 there. There's 19. Trump equals, so 19 equals Trump, right? So we've got a mirror. We've got a mirror there, mirror there. Now, how about this? Is that alien real? Is it a real picture? Well, it isn't. I ran it through. So I got the picture. I ran it through, and it comes out as a synth ID detected, which means it's AI. Generated with open AI tools. So there you go. Synth ID. We found a synth ID watermark. Now, this watermark, you can't see it. However, the AI can see it. It's so small you can't even notice it. So he knows that this watermark, it's embedded in the photo. So we know that this is not true. We know it was created by OpenAI tools and it's got a synth ID. Now, let's go to the Q drops. If we go to Q drop, there we go. Look at this, 203. It's telling us that it's what, ladies and gentlemen? This is how comms work, that it is bad bread. In other words, it is fake. You see how comms work? 5 of 5 comms clear. Number one, the alien picture, we put it into the AI detection tools. It comes off as created by OpenAI tools. Number two, it has a synth ID. And number three, the confirmation from Q that it equates to the timestamp 203 has confirmed that it is bad bread. In other words, it's fake. 5 of 5 comms clear. How was that, guys, for another quick decode? Pretty good. And that's how comms work, guys. You got to do your discernment. You got to use discernment. Others are just sitting out there. Oh yeah, they just get all warm and fuzzy, and that's a real alien. I've seen it, guys. It's just ridiculous. And then people get the alien, and they make it come to life through the AI generated videos, and it's not really doing us, shall we say, any good, because they're going out there and they're doing themselves good because they're being monetized. But they're going out there spreading disinformation, and that is disinformation right there. So you think about it, they are knowingly spreading disinformation by doing what they're doing. So it's not really helping us, is it? It's discrediting the truth, and we're about the truth. That's what we're about. We're not about fakery. No, we're not. Another one, guys, is this here, which is very, very cool. Mr. Elvis the Pelvis, President Trump again. And this is why this is done by design. The reason why he done these things is to show us that the comms are clear. The 5 of 5 comms are clear, and that the line is open. He's showing us that, hey, we're talking to you. This is how we communicate, and this is the message that we're sending. Now, let's have a look at this. Obviously, this is AI again, right? Now, let's go here. We look at it, it's Trump as Elvis, right? Trump as Elvis. Now, we go to timestamp 245. So 245's 45, Trump again. Mirror, right? Mirrors are important. So 245. Now, let's have a look at this. Let's go to the timestamp 245. It's going to make the world of sense in a moment. There we go, 2:45 p.m. Okay, you can all see that. Right? Right there in front of you. Now, what is very interesting is this. Ask yourself a very simple cue. In other words, question. Would the fake news media and other controlled assets expend this amount of time and resources in attacking an attempt to discredit and cast conspiracy LARP? This movement, if it did not pose a significant threat, danger, you attack those who you threaten you the most. Logical thinking. Now, Q's telling us to use logical thinking. No, please pay attention. Number one, what is the word LARPing and pose? Let's have a look. What is President Trump doing in that photo? He's posing. He's posing. So in other words, we've got a mirror. Pose. Then the word LARP, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When someone is pretending to be something that they're not and can involve lying on social media or internet or lying in real life. Do you see what I mean? And LARPing means live action role play. And what is President Trump doing there? He's LARPing. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that there's a 5 of 5 comms are clear. Number one, he's posing. So in other words, that's mirrored in this. We've got, shall we say this, pose. He's posing. Right there. Then he's live action role playing as Elvis. You see what I mean? So this is how they do things. They communicate a message. Now, what is the message? Number one, you can see that the 5 of 5 comms are clear, and you can see that how many coincidences before you call it mathematically impossible. So in other words, you got the LARPing and the posing all in the one sentence as well. And they're both there. So they're right there. And what the message is this, that the mainstream media are controlled assets. And you've seen that they are. That's been proven over and over again. And what President Trump is doing, he's actually gaslighting the media, because the media are also putting out things about him saying, oh, there he is, he's doing Elvis, or he's doing this, he's lost the plot. You know what I mean? And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's LARPing. He's gaslighting them. He's basically taking them for a ride. He's showing how they're controlled, how they all work in lockstep, how the echo chamber works. And it says there, you are attacking those who threaten. They feel threatened, ladies and gentlemen. They feel threatened. And it says there, logical thinking. And that's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We use logical thinking. We don't jump into conclusions. You know, we base everything on facts, evidence, and receipts, don't we? But you know what? I'm going to play this because I think it's very, very appropriate. Okay? Especially with President Trump. Did you like that, guys? How was that for a decade? It was pretty cool, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, no, a lot of work goes in what I do. And you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that I do a lot of hard work. I've been doing a lot of work in the studio, making things more professional, getting things, you know, shall we say, working smoothly. It takes a lot of hard work, and I take pride in my work. So there you go. How was that? Did you enjoy that? Pretty cool stuff. Now, right there, LARP, pose, Elvis, President Trump was LARPing. And he's allowing the mainstream media to run in circles. 5 of 5 comms are clear. Thank you very much, President Trump. That was awesome, wasn't it? Now, let's move on to the next decode. What do you think, guys? Yes, I think so. Now, I want to say thank you to those that I want to say a quick thank you, because you know that I'm building a server that obviously costs money, and the money that I'm getting from donations is building these things. So it's a costly exercise, because it's, shall we say, that it's very specialized equipment. I want to say a quick shout out to Ivan. Thank you very much, Ivan, for your donation. I want to say thank you to those. I'm going to go through those that have donated. And if you like, you can shout me a coffee You can donate to, and I've also got my, buy me a coffee thing as well, guys. You know that? I've got my buy me a coffee. Didn't I show you? So you can actually buy me a coffee. Very interesting. Let me show you here. So, right here, guys, look at that. There we go. You can go here to buymeacoffee.com/FCB Collective, and you can buy me a coffee and become a supporter. There you go. And then also you can go to link. I'm setting it all up, guys, as we go along, because this is a work in progress what I'm doing right now. So you can go to linktr.ee and go here and show you. linktr.ee/FCB podcast. And you can click here and you can either you can go PayPal, donate, you can go to Coffee Shouts and click here and it'll take you here. Alrighty. So that goes towards building the server. The server is for offloading all the decodes that I've done for years, so I can continue on doing more and more, and the videos and everything like that. And then I'm utilizing this server to be able to do decodes and bring things at a whim. So very quickly indexing things, and very, very important. So I'm doing a lot of hard work in the background as well. So if you don't see me, it's because I'm working. Longer you haven't seen me for days, it's because I've been building this thing, building everything, fixing things up, rearranging things, making things work, improving on a lot of things. So, I never stop improving. Now, how about we continue on? Yes, let's continue on. So do you see that one? Now, let's do a real quick one. How about this? Did everyone see this Trump card business? Howard Lutnick. Where's Mr. Lutnick? We know that what he's all about. But anyway, besides the point, right there, we got the Trump card, haven't we? We certainly have. And the Trump card is something that obviously when that thing goes down, it means business. Now, we know that someone in this Trump card is going to cop it, but then also in the Q drops, it talks about checkmate. And we know the King Obama, right? Queen Hillary. Just think about that for a moment. Now, when we go to timestamp 746, we're going to see what the Trump card means. 646, right there. Music is about to stop. Whose music is about to stop? What is Q referring to? Right? So we know also that, for example, the Trump card in the Q drop says, are you ready to hold those political elite protected accountable? Who is one of the political elite, number one? Well, the one that brought this one up, Mr. Lutnick, is one of the political elites that is, obviously been involved with Epstein Island. He's protected at this stage. So there's also others that are being protected. But in this arrangement, when we talk about timestamp 646 and the music is about to stop, and we type in that number over there, right? Who do you think is going to pop up? So we go 202 456 1414. Let's see, what does that bring? It says call the White House. Call the White House. Whose White House? Oh, yes. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, that White House over there. And you can see that that's the switchboard number for Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, the White House. So the music is going to stop. Now, remember, let's connect the dots. What did we speak about before? Let's connect it all up. Number one, the Trump card is going to bring down this guy, and the music is going to stop. And then also, we know that what stage do you play in the game? Do you play the Trump card? Well, have a look at what's going on right now. Have a look. I just showed you a previous decode with what? To do with what? Remember? Let me see, I'll bring that up for you. Go back here, CB, right here. Yes, which one are we talking about? Who are we talking about that was associated with Mr. Obama in the Russia business that we were just speaking about before? When we were speaking about this business, it's in his DNA, the warrior, and the warrior links up to D-Class, and the D-Class links up to Comey. You see what I mean? The music is going to stop. And you can see how it all connects up, that the Trump card. 5 of 5 comms are clear. We can see what's going on with this little Trump card here, that the music is about to stop for Obama and the gang, isn't it? There's no coincidences. How many coincidences before you call it? Mathematically impossible, right? 5 of 5 comms clear. I can't wait for that show. Everyone's going to jump on that show and we'll have a chatty. It'll be good, won't it? Now, let's continue on to Fauci. We know that Fauci was under President Trump, but the mainstream media were giving him air, as in a big airhead as well, giving him the confidence. Also Pelosi. And we know that under Biden, that's where he reached his potentiality as a destructive power, as President Trump says. We remember the days of the masks. We know that he was involved back in the 80s with all the filth. Okay, like a little mad scientist, but he was with Fauci, reading his diaries. He's not someone that was confident. He gained his confidence later on, and his cockiness. That came later. Now, look at this, 7:46 a.m. 7 plus 4 plus 6, 17 equals Q. So, obviously, what President Trump is trying to say is, hey, we got this in control. This has all been exposed now. It's time. Right? Now, they're using Rand Paul. Let's see what Rand Paul does. Now, will contempt do anything? Will it bring some other things? Because remember, something has to give. When something gives, it leads to other things, and it connects to other things as well. So that makes a world of sense. What also makes a world of sense, ladies and gentlemen, is this post here. You know, I've spoken about Greenland many times. I've decoded about it. I've explained to you about it. I've explained the importance. Now, let me give you the background again. Greenland is currently a autonomous country, but it's under the jurisdiction of Denmark. Now, we know Denmark are part of NATO and part of the European Union. President Trump is using Russia and China as an excuse, scapegoat, to get control over Greenland. NATO and EU jumping up and down. Why? Because that was going to be, shall we say, their stepping stone, their massive, you want to call it an aircraft carrier, right? That whole bloody piece of ice there, as a way of getting into the United States. Now, Canada was going to be, shall we say, the way in. We know from the south, we could see how Colombia now is taken over by the Zionists, Argentina, all these other countries in there, and Mexico. They're going to provide the way in from the south, and on the north, it was going to be Canada. That's why President Trump had to do what he had to do. That war was very important, as he said. More important than you never know. Very important. Now, getting back to the point, what has this got to do with? It'll make a world of sense in a moment. Greenland, European Union, NATO, we're going to go there as the way to get into the north. So President Trump, that's why he's been saying we need Greenland, the Donroe doctrines, which supersedes, it's the whole hemisphere. It's not just the northern part, it's the north and the south. All right, so the North and South America. He needs to get that because he knows what they had planned. And when we talk about EU and NATO, we're talking about Nazis. NWO, nothing new about it. As Q says, Nazi world order. Well, think about this. Canada. How are they going to get their way in? Well, remember, there are puppets like Trudeau, right? Now you got Carney. And they were going to provide the way in, and they were going to rig elections, bring in these machines to do it. And who was seen in Canada? Alex Soros. Who has been influencing Canada and the United States as in the elections, as in manipulating the machines and the software and all that? Soros has, right? So you could see that they were working in lockstep to get, number one, a way in. So remember, infiltration instead of invasion. President Trump knew what they were doing, that the European Union and NATO, that's why they're jumping up and down, why he wants Greenland. Because they're Nazis. You look at the history of it, NATO, who was the ones that were the first two generals to run NATO when it first was founded. Two Nazi generals of Hitler. We know that Nazis didn't lose. They just basically went underground, right? They were always been there. And President Trump knows exactly what they want to do. They want to destroy America. They really want to destroy America. That's a fact. How do we know this? Well, let's go to the Q drops, and it will give us the information that we need. And this is going to make the world of sense. Q, there we go, timestamp, 2:04 p.m, right there. Right? You should be able to see it right there. Timestamp 2:04 p.m. Let's go to timestamp 2:04 p.m. Get ready for it. There we go, ladies and gentlemen, right up the top. Right up the top. No coincidences. They do not exist. Destroying America will be the culmination of my life's work. George Soros. There it is. Destroying America. How are they going to do it? Greenland. Remember, Denmark were they were prepared to blow up the airport or destroy landing strips and stuff like that, so the Americans couldn't get in there. Why do you think they are so adamant on President Trump not getting Greenland? President Trump knows what they were planning to do. There you go. So you got number one right there, ladies and gentlemen. Your timestamp matches this. Destroying America will be the culmination of my life's work. Let's go here. Q drop 4635 because it's got to do with Soros and Nazis. There's literally tactics deployed versus America, right? Then versus now. So back in the day, you got 1933, paramilitary wing, Communist Party of Germany. People don't get it, that this is right at the core is Zionism. Because have a look, the paramilitary wing of the Communist Party was how Hitler got into power as well. They used the party. Remember, the eagle, iron eagle, the eagle pointing to the left represents the party. The eagle pointing to the right represents the federal. So you could see, and that translates to this very day. Have a look at the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank is under the Ashkenazi Rothschilds Nazis. Pointing to the right. The head points to the right. Federal Reserve. Have you noticed it doesn't matter which president gets in, whether it's Obama, whether it's the left, whether it's the right, the head of the eagle on the finial of the flag, even on the, it's pointing to the right, which is part of this thing. Left, right wing still belong to the same beast in the middle. And that beast is Zionism. Have a look at this. Paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party of America. The flags are pointing left and right. Coincidence? They don't exist. What they do is they use these left, shall we say, to use intimidation tactics. Done by design. Antifa. Might be on the left, but it's pushing for the right as well. It's pushing an agenda. Now, battles rage in the streets, book burnings. Remember back in the day, the Nazis, they did the book burnings. What did they do to us? Well, they don't burn books. They censor, don't they? Digital things don't need to be burnt. They can be deleted. They can be censored. So in what this is, ladies and gentlemen, is another format of book burning. What do you think they created? Digital PDFs and all that. A book can't be unwritten. It's published. It's hard copy. It's in your hand. But when it's digital, it can be eliminated at any moment and forgotten about. So in other words, in essence, that's a burning in itself. Now, let's go down to the bottom here. Soros's history. The use of the propaganda by Nazi Germany, use of propaganda by MSDNC, social media. They both work together. It's an infiltration instead of invasion. Ask yourself why the Democrat Party leaders refuse to condemn the violence. Ask yourself why the Democrat Party leaders refusing to condemn the violence. Right? So, in other words, it was never, look at this, it was never about the virus. It was about getting Trump out. It says it there. It was never about the virus. It was about being able to rig elections. It's right there. Was the Nazi Party ever truly destroyed or eradicated? No, it wasn't. Did the belief carry on or redeployed within the country? There we go. background of Soros. Let's have a look at the facts, guys. Left and right all serve the same beast of Zionism. There's Soros and there's the Rothschilds. That's Q drop 546. So in other words, you could see President Trump has to have Greenland because these Nazis want to destroy America. Where is George Soros in the Ukraine? Very interesting, isn't it? When Putin says denazifying the Ukraine. Because after all, Ashkenazi, Nazi, where do you think that word came from? It's part of their game. People don't get it. That this deception is, shall we say, so embedded that people that are asleep can't see it. Ukraine is a slush fund. We know money's been going in there. And how do you think Soros funds things? How do you think he funds Antifa? How does he fund open society? How does he fund it? Through the taxpayer. It goes into the Ukraine, into these pockets, doesn't it? Into their pockets. Banks control governments. Double plus is Rothschilds. Right? Banks control governments. Governments control people. Saudi Arabia controls elected people. Do you see why it's necessary for Iran to do what they're doing? Because Saudi Arabia have been involved. They groomed Obama to destroy America from within, and they were all part of it. Soros controls organizations of people. In other words, he controls, well, you see who he controls. He has control over her as well. That's how it is. Rothschilds, cult leaders, church, pope. Banks, financial institutions, worldwide government control. Government controls people. Saudi Arabia, oil tech, sex and children. Saudi Arabia controls assigned US and UK politicians, including the tech companies. You've seen how Prince Al Walid has investments in X, and they've got investments in social media platforms and mainstream media. Soros controls the organizations of people, creates division and brainwashes, plus manages the operator of slush funds. There you go. Personal net worth never reduces. Think DOJ settlements, consumer Iran environment pacts. In other words, the Iran deal and rock past authority over followers, present, future. Orders critical, strings cut, US, UK. So they've had to cut these ties with those degenerate puppets. Expand your thinking, swamp draining, sexual harassment, bombs away. What's happening? Bombs away. Over in Saudi Arabia, isn't it? Q drop 339. Question has asked about ownership of voting machines before. We're talking about the voting machines. They knew George Soros was going to mess with the numbers. This was the plan. Why would he mess with the numbers, ladies and gentlemen? Why? This was the end game. This was the end game. And then also, remember, he works for the Nazis. New World Order, Nazi World Order, nothing new about it. President Trump has to do what he has to do. He has to have Greenland in order to put an end, shall we say, for them getting in there and putting a foothold. That's why Denmark is so adamant. And why does he keep exposing NATO and exposing them? Because European Union, because they've all been working together to take and destroy America. And President Trump has even said it at that time. I'll never forget, at the Rose Garden, when he was speaking about tariffs, he said the European Union were created for a reason. And that reason was to destroy America from within, to go up against it economically. That's why they had to do what they had to do. Thank God for President Trump. He knows what they were planning to do, what they had installed. Now, everyone's saying, oh, I wish things would happen quicker. I get it. I get your frustrations. I get it, guys. I get frustrated too. But you know what? At least we're seeing something. We need to hold on. Hold tight. I've always said this, that things need to turn to liquid shit before they can get better. And literally they have been turning to liquid shit, especially when we're seeing those people eating the lettuce. You know what I mean? I feel sorry for those people. They've been dealing with liquid shit all the way home. So things need to get bad, real bad. Because how do you awaken a sleepwalker? You need to awaken a sleepwalker, don't you? You need to get them out of a slumber. You need to get them out of their deep sleep. Now, have a look at this. What President Trump is doing is deliberately gaslighting. He's gaslighting, and look at this. This is the Trump, shall we say, circle. In other words, this is what he's doing. He's absolutely gaslighting Iran, all the Zionists, all the deep state by doing this. He's wearing them down. And he's allowing Iran to do what it must. Because Saudi Arabia are begging now. Qatar, and all the rest of them in the Middle East are begging Trump to stop, to make peace with Iran, where they were the ones that paid Kushner billions of dollars, number one, to protect them. But then who was also saying to Trump to go and take down Iran? It was Saudi Arabia. They thought they had it in the bag. And we know Saudi Arabia works with Israel. That's all been proven because we've seen how Israel also have been giving their Iron Dome over there for them to use. And Bibi Netanyahu and all that have been going over there to help them out. They've been involved in filth. And if you don't know what Saudi Arabia is, it's up there with the filth. It's pretty much you got the Soros at plus, Rothschilds double plus, and the House of Sword, ladies and gentlemen, which is the worst of the worst, at triple plus. So therefore, you need to take down these entities. It must be done organically. And what President Trump has been doing is exposing them. They've never felt so exposed and They are panicking. Now have a look at this. What he's doing right here is going, we're negotiating and making progress. Iran will face punishment if no deal. We're expecting to hear from them soon. So we're here. So we've done this. We've done that. Now we're here. And this is an ever-going cycle over and over again. And what that is destroying, shall we say, the deep state. It's giving Iran time to go and take them down. He's working with them because we know in the Q drops back in May 2018, where it said that we control Iran, President Trump controls Iran. He has been. And this is the case, guys. This is what he's doing. He's deliberately wearing them down. And then also, he brought out this. Remember, I've decoded this before. 159 Iranian ships underwater, right? Underwater. Now, let me tell you about that one. 159. What is underwater, ladies and gentlemen? What is underwater is the submarines, right? So we go to Q drop 159, and it says there, look at that, right there. The Hunter for the Red October. What it's doing is referring to the submarine, right, that went missing, all right? What is missing there? What submarines? There are stealth submarines that the Iranians have known as dolphins, right? So these dolphins are able to stay hidden, stealth, underwater in the Strait of Hormuz, right? And they are located at the submarine cables, right? So the submarine cables are right there where the submarines are, right? You see what Coco's, sorry guys, is going off his nut. So you can see submarine, this is reference to the submarine cables, Strait of Hormuz, bing, 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 right? You know what bing, bing, bing means? Bing, bing, boom, right? He said bing, 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 5, 5, right? That's what he said, 5, 5. So he did bing, 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 5, and then he said 5. Let me play that clip. I've got to hear something, guys. In the meantime, here we go. Here we go. Let's watch this clip here.
Bing, 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 5. Bing, 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 bing.
There we go, 5 again. 5 of 5. He's telling you, and it's comms. I'm giving you comms. 5 of 5. Comms are clear. And we know what that means, President Trump. We know exactly what you're referring to when you're talking about Iran. And we know that bing, 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 5 of 5, bing, 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 Q drop 1044. Q drop 1044 talks about bing, and they are to be taken down. Right? Let's go to Q drop 1044. After all, who else is being brought out there? Comey and Obama's obviously been exposed. There we go. Q drop 1044. Bing. Bing kill. Instagram kill. Now, how's that going to happen? Well, let's go to the submarine cables. Right? Where are those submarine cables located? How are they going to bring this all down? And then have a look at this. Pics of Hussein holding an AK-47 in tribal attire. Remember, Saudi Arabia, right? Net shutdown. Bing, 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 bing. 5 of 5. We got the 5 of 5. Bing kill. Bing kill. What's right there? The submarines underwater, 159. Q drop 159 tells us about the submarines. And then also the submarine cables, right? The map. Let's go to the map, right? And I will show you exactly what he's referring to. So people don't get how important this area is. So have a look at this. There's Saudi Arabia. There's the United Emirates and all them over there, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, all them. Where they're located, ladies and gentlemen, is right here at the Strait of Hormuz. 159 ships underwater, ships that are underwater, submarines, Q drop 159, takes us right there, okay? Submarine cables. We know what that means. We know that obviously bing, 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 kill. How are you going to kill it off? Well, we know when they said about the dolphins, you heard General Kane say about the dolphins with the lasers. Dolphins, everyone's thinking dolphins. No, dolphin is the name of the submarine type. They are stealth, they are small, and they located right here. Now, you think about it, they're equipped with lasers that can cut through the submarine cables. Everything is going to happen in stages. 5 of 5, comms are clear, President Trump. We know exactly what you're getting at. We know exactly what you mean. So can you see how everything makes logical, perfect sense? Right? It certainly does. Now, let's have a look at some other stuff here, because we've got some other interesting things to show you. Right, let's see. Let's go to this one first. Let's see if we can find it. So we got that one there. Let's go here first. Yeah, let's go this one. Right, let's go 202 and right. Let's go there. Right, this one here. 202, Q job 202. 1 plus 8, 9, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, 19, Trump. Right, who's the one that's bringing it out? Trump is. Let's go to timestamp 2:02 p.m. All right, let's bring that up. I'll get that sorted. Okay. Let's have a look. What has President Trump been doing? Gaslighting also. What is this all about? Well, there we go, 2:02, 45, 45th president. We know that we're in the right place, right? So we've got 2:02 p.m., 45 seconds, 45, 45th president, Trump again. So we've got a mirror. Then, what is it doing? To keep the will of the people on your side in the face of incessant gaslighting. What is President Trump doing to the mainstream media and to the deep state right now? He's doing exactly what they were doing. They've been gaslighting us. No, President Trump is gaslighting them. And he's turned everything around. And it's like, oh, here we go again. Here we go. So he's gaslighting him. So it's right there. The face of incessant gaslighting by the mainstream media. We are with you, but it can be very frustrating on this side of the curtain. Visibility helps. You see what I mean? So it makes sense. The mainstream media have been gaslighting us. President Trump has turned it around on the mainstream media and the deep state, and he's gaslighting them. And he's tiring them down by doing this cycle, right? Then he's saying, we are with you. So there's the comms. We are with you. But it can be very frustrating. Yeah, we're frustrated because we want to see an end result, right? We get it, and we want visibility. Imagine the frustration if we weren't here communicating with you. There's your comms, ladies and gentlemen. There's your clear comms right there. Imagine, we should be in the attitude of gratitude right now. Imagine the frustration if we didn't have these comms coming through, and this is the proof that they're communicating with you, right? You and many tens of millions strong Q. Let your voices be heard, and information is meant to be free. What have I been doing? Have I been putting anything behind a paywall like others have? Have I been adhering to the Q drop 1295, 1296, and 1297? I've been doing all that and then some, while the others have been putting it out there behind a paywall. Oh, yes, they have. Those on Rumble Premium, I think you better have a look. Rumble Premium, ladies and gentlemen, you have to, in order to have that label, and I think you better have a look at who's doing it, is basically putting things behind a paywall. You've got to do a certain number of videos per month, and they've got to be for a paywall, behind a paywall. Oh, yes. Behind a paywall that goes against the Q drops 1295, 1296, and 1297. And it's also saying that information is meant to be free. Power to the people, Q. Now, I can sit there and name names, but I'm not going to do that for you. You've got to see for yourself who's doing it. Well, Rumble Premium. Let's go through that so people can get. People got to start working out who's doing what here. All right, I'll show you the truth here. And then people need to work it out. There are people out there. There you go. Rumble allows creators to put specific videos and live streams. So in other words, for them to get money, they've got to put segments behind a paywall for subscribers. A monthly payment in order for you to get information which contradicts Q drop 1295, 1296. Let's go through those real quickly. Be careful who you follow. Some are profiting off this movement. Some are building a big following off this movement, only then to retreat and go mainstream. Patriots make a sacrifices. Some the ultimate sacrifice of the military. Patriots are selfless. Do they ask for monthly payments to remain patriots? Do they? Well, there are entities out there that use the 17 number, and they've got a paywall premium business going on, Rumble paywall premium. I mean, they should drop the 17 number and the Q while they're at it, because they're on Rumble Premium, and they're obviously, and I've just shown you the facts, evidence, and receipts, that segments behind a paywall for subscribers, users need to pay a tier like Rumble Plus or Rumble Pro. And they use the Q name and the 17 and all that, and you should know who I'm speaking about. And no, that's not right. Sorry. Do they ask for monthly payments to remain patriots? Oh, they do. Think logically. To some, it's about the money. Those who seek gain at the expenses of others in this movement has an agenda. You decide. This is not a game. The only profit we should all be striving for is true freedom. God bless you all, Q. You see what I mean? And this is the facts. So that's how it is. They use the Q. They don't bring out the Q drops. No, God forbid. They refuse to bring out those Q drops into the day of light, even though they have the Q and the 17s all over the place. And they have call-in shows, and play the Patriot game that they're all part of the community, all that. No. Don't buy into that, please. And they're in part of a network as well, by the way, that they all part of it, and they're all part of this little Rumble Premium game as well. Very soon you'll know the truth anyway. People need to start making decisions for themselves. But anyway, let's get back to it. This one here, 131. 131. Very interesting, isn't it? The jet there, up in the air, jets streaming out the back. Let's go to timestamp 131, shall we? Very interesting. We stand together, 131. What is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is what this video is here. The first video is about when President Trump says about being elected. Our movement exposes the deep state. Hillary Clinton, you've heard that video over and over again. But what is very interesting is the next video, because we got a mirror. In the next video is the one where we have Ronald Reagan. So we know that we work with mirrors, and we know that jets, military, this is about the military, and this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. The message that we get here is the only way is the military. Let's watch this video.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson...
So you just saw that we got a mirror right there. So there's your military aircraft, and you got that mirror. So we've got a 5 of 5, comms are clear right there. Let's continue on.
We follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price. Or better, the final ultimatum, our one commentator voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
So you get the gist, guys. That goes from the Q drops. So that comes from the Q drops. And what it symbolizes is that the only way is the military. So what this is all about is President Trump is working with Iran to bring down that whole system of corruption. Well, you know, plus, double plus, so plus Soros, double plus, Rothschilds, Israel, triple plus Saudi Arabia, House of Sword. And they're all involved over there in the Middle East. Now, like I said, the Saudi Arabians, they were pleading with Trump to go after Iran. And now they're pleading with him to stop, because this is it. They're getting annihilated. They're getting annihilated in the sense of, number one, their economy. They're not making the money that they were making before. No one wants to do business there anymore. Things can't get out. No one wants to travel there. It's decimating that whole area. And that corruption has to go. So what's happening is they're destroying their multiple streams of income, which is all necessary. They have to bring this whole system of corruption down to its knees. They have to. There's no other way, guys, because that's true evil. The illusion of evil that we've been fed, on the right and the left and the right, that's all low-hanging fruit. The real evil is what Q says. It's over there. And the only way you're going to bring it down is you need to do it organically. Now, remember, October the 7th, 10 plus 7, 17. We know that's definitely done by design. That from that day onwards, October the 7th, 2023, Israel has never felt, and these Zionists, this whole system has never felt so exposed. They're being exposed. The mainstream media are being exposed. The Ukrainian, shall we say, slush fund is being exposed. That's what he's doing. Exposing everything at every given opportunity. And he also, I love how he uses his gaffes, right? So I call them gaffes, like his little side swipes. So, for example, he says, oh, look, they can't wait to get him out. They think they're going to get him out by putting, well, they didn't work with J.D. Vance. Rubio is what they're betting on. And we know Rubio's team, shall we say, is Team Israel all the way. Now, have a look at what President Trump's saying here. It's really cool. Let's watch this. It'll play. Let's watch it. Here we go.
Buildings, plants, factories that we're talking about start opening up. All I know is I'd like to be the next president.
There you go. All I know is I'd like to be the next president. They are sweating it. Then President Trump says about the lettuce. Remember I've always said everything has to turn to liquid shit. And there we go. Explosive diarrhea on lettuce.
A different story, not Iran. There's this nasty parasite that is giving people in 9 states explosive diarrhea. When is it going to be safe to eat lettuce again?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. It's the first time I've been asked that question. Are you eating lettuce recently?
Isn't it funny? I mean, if you think about it, lettuce, what is lettuce? Green. What is green? Well, you think about what he's trying to say. Parasites, green, money. That's another angle of looking at it. And we all know what these parasites are all about, and he's stamping them all out. If I wasn't president, there would be no Israel and probably, look at that, ladies and gentlemen, no Middle East either.
They would have had a nuclear weapon and there would be no Israel. If I wasn't here, if I wasn't president, there would be no Israel and there probably would be no Middle East. And you saw that when they shockingly started shooting at everybody all over the Middle East.
He knows what he's doing. He's gaslighting him. He's doing things deliberately by design. And he keeps saying the same mantra. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Yeah, in other words, no, we can't have Israel try to destroy them with a nuclear weapon. Because we know Iran has never had a nuclear or had intentions of having a nuclear weapon. Then he says, they called me and said, let's talk on Iran. And he says, the funny thing is they never mentioned that. They always say we're not talking, but they called. He's gaslighting the media again. And then he refers to World War II. They want to make a deal. They don't want to be hit. This was the biggest hit since World War II. What is he referring to, ladies and gentlemen? The Nazis. He's bringing down that whole system, the New World Order, the Nazi world order, down to its knees. Right? That's what he's doing, deliberately by design. So this thing again, Iran talks moving along very nicely, and we know in the next 48 hours, it's back to that same thing again, the cycle. This is the gaslighting that he's doing to the deep state and the mainstream media, and they are losing their minds. They are literally losing their minds, guys. And it's amazing. It's really amazing to see, because we know what's really going on. Now, Netanyahu, that's what I call him affectionately, Netanyahu says that he rejected the board of peace. Now, we know that the board of peace was never about peace, right? Yeah, board of peace sounds like a bunch of chess games. Anyway, besides the point, we are playing chess, but besides the point, the board of peace was set up by these developers like Kushner, like Wyckoff, because where do they make their money? On the rebuild. So what they do is, you think about it, war, as Q says, is a scam. It's a scam in many ways. Number one, think about it. Who makes money when they blow things up? Politicians do. They get greased off. The big producers of weaponry, they get greased off. The deep state, the higher uppers, the puppet masters, they all make money. Then when they finish demolishing, so consider it, demolishing and then build. So in comes the property developers, and then they're making money again. So that's what Q says. Trillions of dollars. War is a scam, trillions of dollars. Because literally it is. If we go to the Q drops and we type it in, and we type in the word scam, let's go here, scam, and it will tell us that, well, how do you think Soros gets funded? From all the variety of scams. So we go to Q drop 489, and it tells us clearly what's really going on. So Q drop 489, US taxpayer paying for it all. Paris Accord, scam. So that whole climate change, global warming, it's all about ciphering money and pouring money from the taxpayer into these slush funds. Red Cross, we know Red Cross, Rothschilds, the Rothschilds, the Cross, Red Cross, scam, billions. Foreign aid, scam, trillions. That's why they got Doge. Exposing the scammetry. Then you got war equals scam. Trillions again. There we go, on and on. And who audits where the money actually goes? Really, nobody. The US taxpayers funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. There you go. So they're trying to take down the real evil. Slush funds everywhere. The Ukraine's a slush fund. After all, the Ukraine, Nazis as well. The Azov. Think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket. There you go. So How do you think they get the money? Now, this board of peace is another way slush funds work. Now, Netanyahu is saying he's rejected the board of peace. He doesn't want peace. No, at all. He doesn't want the United States having control over anything. US-backed Gaza disarmament proposal saying that Israeli forces will not withdraw. And I knew this was going to happen. Everyone thought that, oh no, the Hamas is... No, we know that Hamas was funded by Israel again, using Qatari money. That's all been proven. I've shown you that many times. Now, you think about it, Hamas, okay, they created this little boogeyman. They've been funding the boogeyman. And now that the boogeyman's no longer there, what are they going to do? Who are they going to go and blame to go and blow things up? How are they going to clean up shop? They've got nothing. So the board of peace was supposed to take over and do the rebuild, and the Palestinians, for the Palestinians, all that. No. Netanyahu doesn't want it. And there you go. Israeli forces will not withdraw from their current positions until Hamas is fully disarmed. No, Hamas is... You keep using that Hamas thing. It's wearing thin right now. We could see who are the players. I mean, Fetterman as well. I mean, he's sucking up Bibi's bum all the time. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Then they're saying that that apparently the US relationship with Israel, that recent polls show America's support for Israel has cracks in it. I mean, they're saying that the wall of granite, they had a solid relationship, is now got cracks. And what Netanyahu's saying is that it's because of social media and the bot farms. Well, who's the ones that run these social media and bot farms? They do. They are the specialists in that. So this is further exposure about that social media and bot farms are used, they are used to influence things, and not only to influence elections and manipulate opinion, but also to inflate numbers. Now, that's where I can't wait to bring out on my new show. My first thing will be called The Numbers Don't Lie. And that one's going to be a big kick in the teeth for some, because they use bots. They inflate numbers. When you put you can say once a coincidence, but then when you got a consistent pattern and the same cast of characters doing it over and over again, you can't call it a coincidence. It becomes, as Q says, how many coincidences before it becomes mathematically impossible? Now, Netanyahu is trying to blame the bots, the social media, for the, shall we say, the lack of support for Israel, where we really know the truth, don't we? That it's got nothing to do with the bots or social media. In fact, it's got to do with the exposure. And the exposure has basically started on October the 7th, where that's where it really hit hard. October 7, 10 plus 7, 17 equals Q. So we know that, realistically speaking, that this has all been done by design to expose people. To expose people and to expose the corrupt system, the puppet masters, who's involved. That's what it's all about. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning into The Pulse. We really appreciate it. I want to say thank you to Carol and Soren. I want to say thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you to those that have donated. Shout me a coffee, okay, because it goes towards building this server and we can continue on with this amazing work. And I plan to increase, shall we say, so you see how we're doing shorter time, shorter shows. So it's shorter shows, but will be a lot more shows during the week. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And also, don't forget, hit the like button, the comments, share this all around the place. Okay. And also, if you like, if you want to donate, you can donate to the link tree, my link tree /FCB podcast right there. And you can contribute, show me coffee, and I can build this thing as well so we can get this thing going and get more, shall we say, quality into the platform and also keep the expenses in check as well. So once again, thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Cheers.